Everybody standing? Everybody was told reprimanded that they better not, shout out or yell out any bad words or not stand up when the president walked through?
I'm not sure. Maybe they just want as legal to do it this time.
You see RGB?
Where in the world is Ruth Bader Ginsburg? Is she there?
I don't see her.
Thank you very much. Madam
I do not see
Speaker,
her.
Mr. Vice President, members of Congress, the First Lady of the United States, and my fellow Americans. We meet tonight at a moment of unlimited potential. As we begin a new Congress, I stand here ready to work with you to achieve historic breakthroughs for all Americans. Millions of our fellow citizens are watching us now gathered in this great chamber, hoping that we will govern not as two parties, but as one nation.
What the hell, man? Look.
The agenda I will lay out this evening is not a Republican agenda or a Democrat agenda. It's the agenda of the American people. Many of us have campaigned on the same core promises to defend American jobs and demand fair trade for American workers, to rebuild and revitalize our nation's infrastructure, to reduce the price of health care and prescription drugs, to create an immigration system that is safe, lawful, modern, and secure, and to pursue a foreign policy that puts America's interest first. There is a new opportunity in American politics if only we have the courage together to seize it. Victory is not winning for our party. Victory is winning for our country. This year, America will recognize two important
I guess they must have the last time they
anniversaries that show us the majesty
didn't
of
stand and do
America's
nothing. I guess they
mission
must have told when he says
and
something
the
good about the
power
nation, we got to do
of
something.
American pride. In June, we mark 75 years since the start of what General Dwight D. Eisenhower called the Great Crusade, the Allied liberation of Europe in World War II.
think we need to clap for everything.
On D-Day, June 6, 1944, 15,000 young American men jumped from the sky and 60,000 more stormed in from the sea to save our civilization from tyranny. Here with us tonight are three of those incredible heroes. Private First Class Joseph Riley, Staff Sergeant Irving Locker, and Sergeant Herman Zaitchik. Gentlemen, we salute you. In 2019, we also celebrate 50 years since brave young pilots flew 250,000 miles through space to plant the American flag on the face of the moon. Half a century later, we are joined by one of the Apollo 11 astronauts who planted that flag, Buzz Aldrin.
All right, Buzz. Woo!
To infinity and beyond.
All right, Buzz.
How about that? How about that?
I met him. What's the other one's name?
Thank you, Buzz.
Who's the third guy?
This year, American astronauts will go back to space on American rockets.
Space Force. Rockets. Taking us back to the future. We're going back to 2009. Rockets, nigga. Space Force. Now, see, I don't understand why they clapping for rockets. I don't
America
understand why they
saved freedom,
clapping for
transformed science, redefined the middle class,
bipartisanship, and
when you get down to it, there's nothing anywhere in the world
Democrats weren't
that
talking
can
about
compete with America.
Nothing anywhere in America that can compete with America.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, because once you get outside of
Let the world know, baby.
once you get outside of the country, you have lots of competition.
Now we must step boldly and bravely into the next chapter of this great American adventure. And we must create a new standard of living for the 21st century.
New standard of living.
An amazing quality of life for all of our citizens is within reach. We can make our community safer, our family stronger, our culture richer, our faith deeper, and our middle class bigger and more prosperous than ever before.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Do we really want a
The
bigger
middle class. The middle class.
Do we really want a bigger middle class?
What are you, leaders?
No, I'm just saying that a lot of people in the middle are assholes.
You want to agree with everybody having a white picket fence? Or a dog, 2 kids?
But we must reject
Definitely not.
the politics of revenge, resistance, and retribution, and embrace the boundless potential of
How's she
cooperation,
holding up the sheet?
compromise,
I've never seen that before.
and the common
Does she
good.
have his speech written down already? Stand. That's what she's reading. Stand.
She gotta stand up. They don't. Oh, some of them will stand up because she stood up.
Yeah, the ones that's with her. You see Cortez ain't stand. She's not trying to make shit.
Together we can break decades
AOC,
of
baby.
political stalemate.
She reminds me of Anne
We can
Marie
bridge
Johnson.
old divisions,
That's why I don't like her.
Heal old
Anne Marie
wounds,
Johnson always
build
played very
new
unlikable
coalitions,
characters in movies.
forge new solutions, and unlock the extraordinary promise of America's future. The decision is ours to make.
Look at the smile with the paper.
We must choose between
Have you ever seen this
greatness or
before? I've never seen
gridlock,
this.
results
Is
or
that the Ten
resistance,
Commandments?
That's probably
Vision
his
or
transcript.
vengeance,
But what is she doing?
incredible
Is she giving people
progress
signals?
or
She's
pointless
definitely signaling
destruction.
someone to do something.
Tonight, I ask
She's
you
communicating
to
with someone in the
choose
audience. No,
greatness.
no. Someone's signaling her. She's looking at what they doing. That's what's going on right there.
Over the last 2 years, my administration has moved with urgency and historic speed to confront problems neglected by leaders of both parties over many decades.
Ain't that for you?
In just over
Dinos
2
and
years
Ranos.
since the election,
Oh,
we have
many
launched an unprecedented economic boom.
Economic
A
boom.
boom that has
Boom,
rarely
chicka, boom.
been seen before. There's been nothing like it. We have created 5.3 million new jobs
5.3.
and importantly added 600,000 new manufacturing jobs,
Whoa.
something which almost everyone said was impossible to do. But the fact is, we are just getting started.
Maybe we're gonna start manufacturing.
Yeah, we're gonna start manufacturing with the robots. Automation is here to stay, baby. Globalism 4.0.
That's when we're gonna start making these country robots.
Oh, no, the robots will be making everything.
Wages are
Robots are
rising
gonna
at
be
the
making robots.
fastest pace in decades and growing for blue-collar workers who I promised to fight for. They're growing faster than anyone else thought possible. Nearly 5 million Americans have been lifted off food stamps.
Well, nearly 5 million lifted off of food stamps.
How about we get the rest of it? What's that, 30 million, 35 million?
Right.
Then that's something to talk about.
The U.S. economy is growing almost twice as fast today as when I took office. And we are considered far and away the hottest economy anywhere in the world. Not even close.
She was like bullshit. You see her face? Bullshit.
Has reached
Mr.
the lowest rate
Handman.
in over half
Mr.
a century.
Handman.
That's bullshit, Mr. Handman. Yeah, she ain't standing for that.
She was like, I'm gonna rub my bob.
Right.
I'm gonna rub my bob.
Right. She motherfucking like, yeah, I'm caught my collar on that one. Popping to me.
African American,
Oh, here we go.
Hispanic American,
Let's see how
and
many of the
Asian
blacks
American
stand.
unemployment have all reached their
The blacks,
lowest levels ever
The
recorded.
Hispaniards.
No one stood.
And the gays.
No one stand except for the Republican body for the blacks.
I guess not.
Blacks get no love.
Not for me, they don't. I'm not standing for this.
Unemployment for Americans with
Pandering
disabilities
to black people.
has also reached an all-time low.
So she's clapping in silence.
Is that a middle finger that she is
That
doing
at
like
any
that?
time in the history of
And
our
you know
country,
what? Sir, now I have some
157
on fire this
million
weekend
people
because there's
at
no
work.
way they're not gonna claim this one.
We passed a massive tax cut for working families and doubled the child tax credit.
You think he's gonna say anything about prison reform? You think he's gonna stand for that?
Maybe.
Man, hold on.
He might say something about it. If he says something about 21 Savage, then I'm leaving.
We
That means
virtually
he's trolling
ended
us
the
all.
estate tax or
He's trolling
death
us all.
Now,
tax
listen to what I'm saying.
as it
He
is
knows
often
what's going on
called,
with 21
on
Savage.
small
He's a dreamer.
businesses,
He
for
believes
ranchers,
if he knows what's going
and
on with
also
Kanye
for
West,
family
he knows what's
farms.
going on with 21 Savage right now.
He's a dreamer. Is 21 Savage a dreamer?
I think he would take
Well, you don't have to be from Central or South
No, he
America.
would technically be considered a dreamer. He was brought here as a child by his parents. He had no choice.
We eliminated the very
Overstated visa.
unpopular
So,
Obamacare
I guess, you know what I mean,
individual
whatever,
mandate
but-
penalty.
I would just think that it'd be funny if you mention it. A lot of fun for me, at least. I don't know. It wouldn't be fun for a lot of pundits.
And you give critically ill patients access to
This is the part of the,
life-saving
State of the
cures.
Union I like.
We
When they
passed,
start doing, like, a
very
tennis
importantly,
match.
right to
They start
try.
standing for the people that they like. Look. Like, she's like, sit down.
My administration has cut more in a short period of time than any other administration during its
No, man.
entire tenure.
These niggas do not wear ties with
Companies
designs
are
to this
coming
thing,
back
dude. Do that.
to our
They
country
just all got on like
in
a
large
solid
numbers,
colored tie.
thanks to our historic reductions in taxes and regulations.
Is that the what's that? The helix?
And we have unleashed
talking about
a
that pen that
revolution
she has
in
on-
American
on her
energy.
side.
The United States is now
Oh,
the number one
maybe it's,
producer
some
of
kind
oil
of
and
to me,
natural
back here it looks
gas
like, you know,
anywhere
the medical
in the
symbol.
world.
Yeah. Today's something. Yeah. Is she a doctor?
Baltimore with a suspect family with a suspect past. And a recently elected nephew is governor of California.
And
that
now,
actually people don't know
for the
about.
first time
You know what I mean?
in 65
That's under the
years,
radar.
we are a net exporter of energy.
Right. As soon as we take everything from the Venezuelans, then we start really making money out of exporting.
Just invading them
After
all. Huh?
24
Nah,
months
man, you know,
of
we don't
rapid
gotta invade.
progress,
We just put
our
our people in
economy
power.
is the
That's
envy
recognize
of
That's
the
why we got
world.
the George Washington boy.
Our military
We just
is the
recognize
most
somebody that's
powerful
on our side.
on earth by far.
Sound like a coup to
And
me.
America
Cool to me or cool to top?
Sheboygan. Look at Ted Cruz looking like a Wolverine.
America
Like
is
Wolverine.
again winning each and every day.
Wolverine after he lost all his powers.
Brogan.
Oh, Brogan,
Members
bro, I
of
like that.
Congress,
You know, no
the
more
state
Logan.
of
Brogan.
our union
or
is
Togan
strong.
from Texas. And yet, no one's standing. One long clapper, if you look to the right. What should I do? What should I do? Should I clap or should I not clap? Oh, I'm in trouble.
He got the right eye patch on now. You see? He got the Slick Rick joint on now. I told him to switch it up.
Number
That
2.
sounds so
Now
good.
somebody probably told him that one without the string around. It was
Our
a
country
Makes
little
you like a
hard.
villain.
Yeah, because
And
people
our
want to stick
economy
on
is
your
thriving
face.
like never
Like
before.
who are you, Morpheus? You don't
On
want to
Friday
do
it
a
was
constant
announced
magic trick.
That we added
Red pill or
another
blue pill?
304,000 jobs last month alone, almost double the number expected.
She clap for that.
Oh, there he is. There he is.
Coffee, who was that? I couldn't see. Scalise?
Scalise, yeah. That's the man
Yep.
right there.
An economic miracle is
Shout out
taking
to
place in the United
pedophile,
States.
video.
And the only thing
Going after,
that can stop
you know,
it
the undesirable,
are
the
foolish
deplorables,
wars,
huh?
politics, or ridiculous partisan investigations.
Oh,
Come on.
Adam Schiff, a CIA boy,
Come
and
on.
a known liar. Treason, anyone? Treason?
If there
For
is
dessert?
going to be peace and legislation,
If there's going to be peace
there
and
cannot
legislation,
be war and investigation. It just doesn't work that way.
here we go.
We must be united at
Calm down,
home.
everyone.
He's gonna calm down.
defeat
He's just
our
gave him the hand.
Calm down, everyone.
Calm down, little
Abroad.
folks.
Let him put his
This
foot in his
new
mouth,
era
disease.
of cooperation can start.
Let's hold up the
finally
pen.
There's
confirmed
not somebody signaling
the
under
more than
again.
300 highly qualified nominees who are still stuck in the Senate,
Looks up.
in
Signals.
some cases years and years
Where's- can't see
waiting.
her hands.
Not right.
No. Let's just going around.
Where is she putting her hands on the paper?
Look at what she's doing.
See, sometimes it's like she shuffles 1, 2, 3. There's stuff
The
like that
senators
going on.
failed
It's like
to
a Morse
act on
code or
these
something.
nominations,
I'm telling you.
which is unfair to the
She's
nominees
signaling them
and
to
very
do. She's
unfair
like a
to
conductor
our
with those
country.
people wearing the white on.
Now is the
What's going
time
on?
for bipartisan action. Believe it or not,
Shuffling papers.
we have
Look at
already
him.
proven
Doesn't he
that
have dual
that's
citizenship?
possible.
Who, Chuck Schumer?
In the
Yeah.
last Congress,
I think that should be against
both
the law.
parties
Where's his
came
other
together to
citizenship at?
pass unprecedented
Probably,
legislation
occupied land.
to confront the opioid crisis, a sweeping new farm bill, historic VA reforms, and after 4
I'm mad.
decades of rejection, we passed
Madder than
VA
hell.
accountability
And I'm not going to take
so
this
that we
anymore.
can fight those who mistreat our wonderful veterans.
Oh, she didn't stand up for veterans?
They ain't saying nothing for nothing else to say after that dumb shit about the investigations. Because they're like, nigga, we're going to investigate you. If you didn't do anything, then, you know, or if you were just good
And
enough.
just weeks ago, both parties united
Oh, we got
for
one viewer. I wonder
groundbreaking
who it is. I bet
criminal
you it's Reinhardt.
justice reform. They said it couldn't be done.
Oh, they stood up for that, huh?
Oh, look at Jared Kushner.
They stood up for it. Look at her hand, look at her hand.
Last year,
Is your hand?
I heard through friends the story of Alice Johnson.
Here we go.
I was deeply moved. In 1997, Alice was sentenced to life in prison as a first-time nonviolent drug offender. Over the next 22 years, she became a prison minister, inspiring others to choose a better path. She had a big impact on that prison population and far beyond. Alice's story underscores the disparities and unfairness that can exist in criminal sentencing and the need to remedy this total injustice. She served almost that 22 years and had expected to be in prison for the remainder of her life. In June, I commuted Alice's sentence. When I saw
Oh my
Alice's
God,
beautiful
look at Jared
family
Kushner.
greet her at the prison gates,
fucker.
hugging and kissing and crying and laughing, I knew I did something right. Alice is with us
Everybody
tonight,
has a family.
and she is a
I'm
terrific
sure if you let anybody
woman.
out of jail, somebody's
Terrific.
going to be
Alice,
happy
please.
to see you. Even if they're the biggest murderer in the world.
Oh, he was a good boy.
Right.
Oh, he was a good boy.
Never hurt
nobody.
Except those 47 people he killed.
He didn't mean to strangle all of them by hand, one by one.
Right.
And then slap their throat and bathe in their blood.
Right.
He thought it was just something you did.
Right. Little X, right? He's a good kid.
Alice, thank you for reminding us that we always have the power to shape our own destiny. Thank you very
What?
much, Alice.
How?
Thank you very much.
I don't know. No, fuck that. How? How does she show us we have the power to shape
Inspired
our
by
own
stories
destiny?
like Alice's,
And
my
how is that story
administration worked
inspiring
closely
in any
with members
way?
of both parties to sign
That's not
the
a feel-good
First
story.
Step Act into law. Big deal. Big deal.
God.
You got a facial reaction.
I think she's
and reformed sentencing laws that have wrongly and disproportionately harmed the African American community. The First Step Act gives nonviolent offenders the chance to re-enter society as productive, law-abiding citizens.
How?
Now, states across the country are following our lead. America is a nation that believes in redemption. We are also joined tonight by Matthew Charles from Tennessee.
You remember that? All these black people were
in
the main ones trying to book
1996,
your kids.
at the age of 30, Matthew was sentenced to 35 years for selling drugs and related offenses. Over the next 2 decades, he completed more than 30 Bible studies, became a law clerk, and mentored many of his fellow inmates. Now Matthew is the very first person to be released from prison under the First Step Act.
Hey, congratulations to that young brother.
Young brother. It's your boy, Jen.
Dance, monkey dance.
Thank you, Matthew. Welcome home.
Oh, Jesus.
What do you think about that?
Now,
Put on the show. He
Republicans
put on
and
the show, right?
Democrats
He put
must
on the
join
show.
forces
Welcome
again
home.
to
Welcome
confront
back.
an urgent national
Welcome
crisis.
back.
What
Welcome
are you
back.
gonna say next?
Welcome
Free
back.
Congress
Tekashi?
has 10 days left
Free
to
6ix9ine?
pass a
That's
bill
what Trump-
to our government, protect our homeland, and secure our very
She does with her
dangerous
hands.
southern border.
Southern border.
Now is the time for Congress to show the world that America is committed to ending illegal immigration and putting the ruthless coyotes, cartels, drug dealers, and human traffickers
Like smugglers.
of
Why don't you just say
business.
smugglers? Why you just gotta come up with his own slang all of a sudden?
That is all slang.
Have you ever heard anybody else say coyotes?
I actually have heard that.
Who says coyotes? Turner Raleigh,
Second-
somebody?
That's a term in the law enforcement.
I ain't never heard nobody call nobody that's a smuggler coyotes. Dogs.
As we speak, large, organized caravans
What, the dog
are on the
can't stop
march
laughing.
to the United States. We have just heard
Oh, she
That Mexican
held up her hand.
cities-
She said,
in order to
that's rub the ear.
remove the illegal immigrants from their communities,
It's like Malcolm
are
X in the
getting
movie.
trucks
Right.
and buses to bring
Should
them
we
up
take the shot?
to our country in areas where there is little border protection.
This is gonna be like a
I have ordered
Take a shot.
another
That's
3,750
too much
troops
power.
Right.
to our southern border
in a woman's hand.
to prepare for this tremendous onslaught. This is a moral issue. The lawless state of our southern border is a threat to the safety, security, and financial well-being of all America. We have a moral duty to create an immigration system that protects the lives and jobs of our citizens. This includes our obligation to the millions of immigrants living here today who followed the rules and respected our laws. Legal immigrants enrich our nation and strengthen our society in countless ways.
They're not gonna clap for legal immigration?
They're not gonna clap for anything else he says. So you can pretty much bet on that. Not unless he says, I'm a complete dickhead. Or something like that.
Some people clap.
I want people
Oh, she's
to come into our country
Wait.
in the largest numbers ever,
No, you don't.
but they have to come in legally.
21 Savage, this means you.
He's a dream man.
Tonight I am asking you to defend our very dangerous southern border out of love and devotion to our
Right, because
fellow
nobody ever
citizens
sneaking over here from
and to
Canada.
our country.
And why isn't Canada having
No
the same
issue
discussion about
better
us
illustrates
sneaking
the
over
divide
here?
between America's
drugs,
working
right.
class
And
and America's
marijuana.
political class
And also, why isn't
than
Mexico doing
illegal
that? Because we're
immigration.
going down there getting drugs.
Wealthy politicians and donors push for
You know what
open
I'm saying?
borders while living their lives behind walls and
Living your best
gates
life.
and guards.
I ain't going back and forth with you, Hispanics.
Well, impeach that motherfucker, huh?
Me? Personally? No. I don't want to impeach him. I don't think he's
Meanwhile,
anywhere near on the
working
level of
class Americans are left
But
Nixon, no. Is he anywhere on the level of Obama? Is he anywhere on the level of
reduced jobs,
Herman Walker or Walker
overburdened
or
schools,
Jefferson?
hospital you can't get in, increased crime, and a depleted social safety net.
and also
We're
diarrhea.
broke. We're broke,
For
bitches.
illegal
Lots of
immigration
diarrhea.
is not compassionate.
All of this.
It is actually
and
very cruel.
incontinence.
Pocahontas.
1 in 3 women is sexually assaulted on the long journey north. Smugglers use migrant children as human
And
pawns
then it turned to the right.
to exploit
Right.
our
That's what it's been
laws
saying.
and
Smugglers
gain access
use
They turned the
to
steering
our
wheel to the right. They keep on going.
migrant
human
children
traffickers and sex
to
traffickers
put drugs
take
in
advantage
their
of the
body
wide open areas
cavities,
between
come
our ports
across
of
our
entry
borders,
to smuggle thousands
and
of young
vomit the
girls and
drugs out
women
onto the streets
into
of
the
the
United
black
States
community.
and to
Human
sell
trafficking.
them into prostitution and modern day slavery.
I think-
Tens of thousands of innocent Americans are killed by lethal
Are you actually laughing
drugs
about
that
slavery?
cross our
I'm
border
laughing at the way he
and
described
flood
it.
into our
This
cities.
thing is crazy. So
Including
how you
meth,
supposed to describe it? Isn't that a
heroin,
heinous event?
cocaine and
This is voice.
fentanyl.
He just doesn't sound serious.
The savage gang
That's
MS-13
Insincere.
now operates in at least 20 different
Savage
American
gang.
states, and they almost all come through our southern border.
No, they don't. MS-13.
A gang member was taken into custody for a fatal shooting on a subway platform in New York City.
That's true.
We are removing these gang members
Is that
by
shit
the
that just happened the other
thousands.
day? On
But
the New
until
York
we
side?
secure our
First of
border,
all, that was
they're
self-defense.
going to keep streaming right
There's a lot
back
of things
in.
that go in a lot of places.
That was
Year after
self-defense.
year, countless Americans are
That
murdered.
dude that shot that
by
dude
criminal,
took that gun from him. They were
illegal
fighting, and the one that
aliens.
got shot, that was
I've
his
gotten
gun.
to know
He
many
pulled the gun
wonderful
out, and they took
angel
it from him and
moms
shot
and
him.
dads and families. No one should
If that was
ever
George
have to
Zimmerman,
suffer
we would be
the
having
horrible
a different
heartache
conversation.
that they have had to endure. Here tonight is Deborah Bissell. Just 3 weeks ago, Deborah's parents, Gerald and Sharon, were burglarized and shot to death in their Reno, Nevada home by an illegal alien. They
Why
were
would
in
they have
their
that girl that was
80s
kidnapped by that white kid last
and are
week?
survived by 4 children, 11 grandchildren, and 20
You can't build
great-grandchildren.
a wall around there.
Also here tonight
You know what I mean?
are
It was like
Gerald
3 of
and
them joints last
Sharon's
week, wasn't it?
granddaughter
Shit.
Heather,
I think we need to build a wall
and
and get some cameras.
great-granddaughter
You know what I mean?
Madison.
Too close, a little too close to Britain.
to Deborah,
You know what I mean?
Heather Madison, please stand. Few can understand your pain. Thank you, and thank you for being here. Thank
That
you
nigga
very much.
earned Trump a bid, didn't he? Shit.
And he's Wolverine.
What, Don Jr.? Which one? Like Don Jr.? They both look like they had a little scruff.
Don Jr.
They're trying to be like Harry and the other one.
I will never
That's what they
forget,
think they are.
and I will fight for the memory of Gerald and Sharon, that it should never happen again.
They're not gonna stand on
Not
top of that.
one more American life
So what model of a
should be
cyborg
lost
do you think Mike Pence
because
is?
our nation
T101,
failed to control its very
T1000?
dangerous
It looks like
border.
a T1000 to me.
In the
One of those
last 2
liquid metal.
years,
Liquid-
our
liquid
brave
metal?
ICE
Liquid metal.
officers
Let's see if it
made
oozes out of that seat.
266,000 arrests of criminal aliens,
Oh, look.
including
Look at,
those
Mr. McConnell's
charged
wife.
or convicted of nearly
Who's Mr. McConnell's wife?
100,000 assaults,
The Asian, is the Asian
30,000
lady?
sex
That's
crimes,
Mitch McConnell's wife?
and
Head of the Department of Transportation, Secretary of
4,000
Transportation.
killings or murders. We are joined tonight by one of those law enforcement heroes, ICE Special Agent Elvin Hernandez.
The one that took down 21
When
Savage. Elvin Hernandez, traded to his people. I'm sure you have a lot of fun doing Cinco de Mayo, going back home.
Thank you. When Elvin was a boy, he and his family legally immigrated to the United States from the Dominican Republic. At the age of 8, Elvin told his dad he wanted to become a special agent.
Got the papers.
Today, he leads investigations into the scores
Walking around with the papers.
of international sex trafficking. Elvin says that if I can make sure these young girls get their justice, I've really done my job. Thanks to his work and that of his incredible colleagues, more than 300 women and girls have been rescued from the horror of this terrible situation. And more than 1,500 sadistic traffickers have been put behind bars.
Woo! Woo!
That's why some of your cousins. Was she standing in protest? She telling people what to do?
We will always support the
She
brave
biting her
men
lip,
and
biting her
women
lip.
of law enforcement. And I
Might be
pledge
losing control.
to you tonight that I will never abolish
Like that
our
little girl
heroes
screaming about
from
music.
ICE. Thank you.
Also, Nancy Pelosi clapped for not abolishing ICE. Did you see it?
My administration has sent to Congress a common sense proposal to end the crisis on the southern border. It includes
We're talking about this
humanitarian assistance, more law
Yeah, he
enforcement,
has been talking for a while.
drug
Last time was like 20
detection
minutes.
at our ports, closing loopholes that enable child smuggling, and plans for a new physical
Why are
barrier
there
or
loopholes
wall
that enable
to
child
secure the
smuggling?
vast areas between
pretty big
our ports of
fucking
entry.
loophole.
People like
In the
smuggling children,
past,
apparently.
most
You
of
know
the
what I mean?
people in this room
Actually, people who
voted
like
for a
slugging
wall.
children are making the laws, huh?
But the
Right.
proper
That's what it
wall
sounds like.
never
According to the law,
got
you can
built.
smoke weed,
I
you can run
will
red
get
lights,
it
smoke
built.
children. The beard thing isn't for everyone. I think at this point people should realize that if you're gonna go
This
with
is
a
a
thick
smart,
beard, you have to have a slick
strategic,
haircut, like a real
see-through
slick
steel
giant.
barrier, not just a simple concrete wall. It will be deployed
Smile.
in the
Who's
areas
looking at?
identified by the border agents as having the greatest need. And these agents will tell you where walls go up, illegal crossings go way, way down. San Diego used to have the most illegal border crossings in our country. In
Put it right in
response,
your
a
face,
strong
bitch.
security
You
wall
would have won.
was put in place.
Prosecute.
This powerful barrier almost completely ended illegal crossings. The border city of El Paso, Texas, used to have extremely high rates of violent crime,
No, it didn't.
one of the highest in the entire country, and considered one of our nation's most dangerous cities. Now, immediately upon its building, with a powerful barrier in place, El Paso is one of the safest cities in our country. Simply put, walls work and walls save lives.
No, they don't.
So let's work together, compromise, and reach a deal that will truly make America safe. As we work to defend our people's safety, we must also ensure our economic resurgence continues at a rapid pace. No one has benefited more from a thriving economy than women, who have filled 58% of the newly created jobs last year.
Is that true?
No standing? One stand, another stand, another stand. They must have got the word to stand up. Look, they told the women to stand up, cheer themselves after he said that. This is weird. This is super weird.
I guess they're saying that, you know, we are some of the women that got those jobs. Why are you doing all that?
Whoa!
Raise the roof.
Raise the roof! Raise the roof!
You weren't supposed to do that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All Americans can be proud that we have more women in the workforce than ever before.
Thank you very much. You just got played. Stop standing. And stop recording them standing. That's what's even worse. It's like, are they going to stand? Let's film.
Let's play it to my hands.
Right.
While you're real white. Take your virginity.
Don't sit yet, you know, like this. And exactly 1 century after Congress passed the constitutional amendment giving women the right to vote, we also have more women serving in Congress than at any time before.
Look at that shit. Bitch, if you don't stop doing that raise the roof shit, that's not cool anymore. Jared Kushner is obviously related to Norman Bates. He's clearly a killer. Definitely heard this. What did you choose? Please stop. This is disgusting. They make a fool of themselves. This is foolish. This is foolish. I'm almost
Since your kids say 4 more years, 4 more years. What you think?
I'm disgusted by this.
That's great. Very good. And congratulations. That's great. As part of our commitment to improving opportunity for women everywhere, this Thursday, we are launching the first ever government-wide initiative focused on economic empowerment for women in developing countries.
Ooh,
To build
bust
on-
you out, man.
To build on our incredible economic success, one priority is paramount: reversing decades of calamitous trade policies. So bad. We are now making it clear to China that after years of targeting our industries and stealing our intellectual property, the theft of American jobs and wealth has come to an end.
Hell yeah, nigga. Stop it, China. Stop sending our jobs to China.
Therefore, we recently imposed tariffs
China.
on $250 billion of Chinese goods.
Good.
And now our
Blood known. Are we
treasury
ready to
is
Get 'em outta
receiving billions and billions
And that's
of
like
dollars.
importing other people, other humans'
But
blood.
I don't blame
for
China for
consumption.
taking
I don't.
advantage of us.
Maybe a little
I
adrenochrome.
blame
I don't
our
know.
leaders
I don't want to be there.
and representatives for allowing this travesty to happen. I have great respect for President Xi, and we are now working on a new trade deal with China. But it must include
Is there like a
real
barbershop
structural
in the
change
Capitol?
to end
Are they all
unfair
getting their
trade
hair cut by the same
practices,
person?
reduce our
Is
chronic
that what's
trade
going on? There must be a
deficit,
barbershop in the Capitol.
protect
There has to be,
American
like a
jobs.
Republican barbershop in the Capitol. Because it's like none of them chose to part their hair in a different manner. But all of them got their part right there. Swoop it over.
Another historic trade blunder was the catastrophe known as NAFTA. I have met the men and women of Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Indiana, New Hampshire, and many other states whose dreams were shattered by the signing of NAFTA.
Shattered.
For years, politicians promised them they would
Stop.
renegotiate for a better deal. But no one ever tried until now.
Well, someone tried before you.
Our new U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, the USMCA, will replace NAFTA and deliver for American workers like they haven't had delivered to for a long time.
I like the
I
sound
hope
of
you
that,
can
Trumpy
pass the
Trump.
USMCA into law so that we can bring back our manufacturing jobs in even greater numbers, expand American agriculture, protect intellectual property, and
Protect
ensure that more cars are proudly stamped with our 4 beautiful words, made in the USA.
They ain't gonna be making all the parts in the USA. What are you talking about? There's no way they're gonna be making all that shit in the USA.
It means assembled in the USA, man.
There's no way they're gonna be making all that
Tonight,
shit.
clap
I'm
for that.
also
They're not gonna be
asking
making
you to
engine
pass the
control
United
units in the
States
USA.
Reciprocal Trade
Why
Act,
would they? You know how much
so
it
that
would
if another
cost?
country places an unfair tariff on an American product, we can charge them the exact same tariff on the exact same product that they sell to us.
They won't buy it.
Both parties should be able to unite for a great rebuilding of America's crumbling infrastructure.
Yeah, for true.
Start with Flint, Michigan.
What's wrong with it? Never Flint.
I know that Congress is eager to pass an infrastructure bill, and I am eager to work with you on legislation to deliver new and important infrastructure investment,
That's shit happens.
including investments in the cutting-edge industries
Ain't that why these people are
of the
supposed to be
future.
here?
I don't know.
This is not an
They should
option.
start with Flint.
This is
That's
a
the place I know to
necessity.
start there. Shit. Fuck.
The next major priority for
Gotta
me
start somewhere.
and for all of us should be to lower the cost of health care and prescription drugs and to protect patients with pre-existing conditions.
Stand up, Mitt! What the hell's going on with Mitt? He used to have his hair in such a nice array. Now he looks a little
Already as a
disheveled.
result of
karma
my
from putting that dog in
administration's
that room.
efforts in 2018, drug prices experienced their single largest
His stomach look like
decline
Nick
in
Nolte all of a sudden.
46 years.
He look so sharp. He's like Tom Selleck before. Now he's very abusive.
But we must do more. It's unacceptable that Americans pay vastly more than people in other countries for the exact same drugs, often made in the exact same place.
Hell yeah.
This is wrong.
That is wrong.
This is unfair.
That is unfair.
And together, we will stop it.
Stop it together,
We'll
baby.
stop it fast.
Stop it now. Shit. I'm getting me excited.
I am asking Congress to pass legislation that finally takes on the problem of global freeloading and delivers fairness and price transparency for American patients. Finally.
Yeah, baby. Let's get some doctor in this bitch. Let's get some medicine in this hoe.
We should also require drug companies, insurance companies, and hospitals to disclose real prices to foster competition and bring costs way down.
No. They should just punch those motherfuckers right in the throat and tell them to give us the medicine. I'm tired of all
No
this
force
bureaucracy and
in
red tape.
history has done more to advance the human condition than American freedom. In recent years,
You're doing a butterfly clap now. Who's that right there? Are they saying oh? Are they saying hey oh? No, they're saying hey oh.
in recent years, we have made remarkable progress in the fight against HIV and AIDS.
That guy looks like
Scientific breakthroughs have brought a once distant dream within reach.
I think his real name is
My
Stacy
budget
Abrams.
will ask Democrats and Republicans to make the needed commitment to eliminate the HIV epidemic in the United States within 10 years. We have made incredible strides. Incredible.
We know we have
Together we
technology
will
that already
defeat
takes the
AIDS
eradicate.
in America
Well,
and
yeah, that's
beyond.
what I thought there was some pill that you could take with you some with AIDS. But you have to be at risk for your
Tonight
doctor to
I am
prescribe
also
it to
asking you to join me in another fight
They gotta go test it.
that all Americans can get behind. The fight against childhood cancer.
I don't use condoms, Doc. I can't spell a word. And every day I just gotta go to Howard University.
Is that what Jack Nicholson said he didn't use rubbers?
Joining
Sasha put her hand
Melania
up.
in the gallery this evening
Yeah, well,
is a very
A lot of
brave
people don't use rubbers.
10-year-old girl, Grace Eline. Every birthday,
Tell us what the fuck this little girl did.
Cool, man. That's respect.
I have respect. Tell us what she did. You got to stand up for that black guy before you introduce them.
hi Grace. Every birthday since she was 4, Grace asked her friends to donate to St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
Oh, St. Jude's, that's that curl joint.
She did not know that one day she might be a patient herself. That's what happened.
No, that's
Last
sad.
year, Grace was diagnosed with brain cancer.
Brain cancer, Jesus.
Immediately, she began radiation treatment. At the same time, she rallied her community and raised more than $40,000 for the fight against cancer.
Sit down, Melania. You did nothing.
He's standing up top of a little girl.
She's still up with that little girl as though she has something to do with it. Look at that.
When
Ah,
Grace
yes, I take it as it is.
completed treatment last fall, her doctors and nurses cheered. They loved her. They still love her. With tears in their eyes, as she hung up a poster that read, "Last day of chemo."
on, man. Good for you. The freeway from Philadelphia just went in and got a new kidney today. Hopefully that young brother made it all safe.
Thank you very much, Grace. You are a great inspiration to everyone in this room. Thank you very much. Many childhood cancers have not seen new therapies in decades. My budget will ask Congress for $500 million over the next 10 years to fund this critical life-saving research. To help support working parents, the time has come to pass school choice for Americans' children.
Oh yeah, that's right. Take your kids away from your neighborhood. Don't school them there. School them someplace else.
I am also proud
they
to be
know
the
they're
first president to include in my budget a plan for nationwide paid family leave, so that every new parent has the chance to bond with their newborn child.
You say yes like that. This is fast becoming a church
There
service.
could be no greater contrast to the beautiful image of a mother holding her infant child than the chilling displays our nation saw in recent days.
Tell it!
Lawmakers in New York cheered with delight upon the passage of legislation that would allow a baby to be ripped from the mother's womb moments from birth.
Talking about the abortion bill.
These are living, feeling, beautiful babies who will never get the chance to share their love and their dreams with the world.
Virginia.
And then we had
New York
the
already
case
passed it.
of the governor of Virginia,
Donald Trump has forced
where he stated he would execute a baby after birth to defend the dignity of every person. I am asking Congress to pass legislation to prohibit the late-term abortion of children who can feel pain in a mother's womb.
That's commentary, though. Just a pain, but I'm sure of it.
No mention.
Not one clap. Bum, 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 bum.
Let us work together to build a culture that cherishes innocent life.
Like adults.
Gunplay?
Lightsaber fight.
Lightsabers? First of all, man, I can't really see with the C-SPAN, because C-SPAN is not high definition.
And let us reaffirm a fundamental truth. All children, born and unborn, are made in the holy image of God.
Oh gosh. Now you've done it.
Of my agenda.
Now you have done
is to protect American security. Over the last 2 years, we have begun to fully rebuild the United States military with $700 billion last year and $716 billion
kids are made in the holy image of God.
We are also
just
getting
like the
other
Swiss cheese
nations
made by the farmers.
And we're gonna bomb them all. We're gonna bomb them all.
Real fast. Even the generals, they don't agree with that. They don't know what you're saying. So we need to pull out a Syria real fast. I do not agree with you.
For years, the United States was being treated very unfairly by friends of ours, members of NATO.
Members of NATO.
But now we have secured, over the last couple of years, more than $100 billion of increase in defense spending from our NATO allies. They said it couldn't be done.
Rise.
As part of our military buildup, the United States is developing a state-of-the-art missile defense system. Under my administration, we will never apologize for advancing America's interests. For example, decades ago, the United States entered into a treaty with Russia in which we agreed to limit and reduce our missile capability. While we followed the agreement and the rules to the letter, Russia repeatedly violated its terms. It's been going on for many years. That is why I announced that the United States is officially withdrawing from the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, or INF Treaty. Perhaps
I guess start making Scud missiles again. Is that what's about to start happening?
This is gonna be a lot more than that. That means they can start arming space and a bunch of other stuff. We're not ready.
we really have no choice.
This is 2019, B.
Perhaps
we might not have
we
the Back to
can
the Future, you know what I mean?
negotiate a different agreement, adding China and
You know what I
others.
mean? And our weaponry
perhaps
might
we
look like
can.
it's still from the 60s, but it's
In which case we will
got enough power in the
outspend
60s.
and out-innovate all others by far.
Space Force, America, yeah.
As part of a bold new
There's freedom in
diplomacy,
space.
we continue our historic push for peace on the Korean Peninsula. Our hostages have come home. Nuclear
One
testing
of them
has
came home
stopped,
in the bag and he was jealous.
and there has not been a missile launch in more than 15 months.
Rate that how you want.
If I had not been elected President of the United States, we would right now, in my opinion,
Easy.
be in
Easy,
a
Tim.
major war
Easy.
with North Korea.
Easy. Oh, hold your horses. Hold your horses. Oh, I told you. He got a fly joint on there. I got
Much
like some
work
fur on
remains
it.
to
Did
be
you
done.
see that joint? Did
But
you
my
see? He put his
relationship
good
with
joint on.
Kim
That was a nice one.
Jong-un is a good
That
one.
John Galliano
Chairman
shit.
Kim and I will meet again on February 27th and 28th in Vietnam. Two weeks ago, the United States officially recognized the legitimate government of Venezuela
Why did
and
he?
its
His
new
segues
president.
is awful. This nigga is not making no type of real transition. That's right. We need that oil, baby. Put him in so he can give you that oil, baby. We need it. Yesterday, I got some gas.
We stand with the
93 octane,
Venezuelan
baby.
people
279.
in their noble
Got to be
quest
because of
for freedom.
Venezuela.
And we condemn the brutality of the Maduro regime, whose socialist policies have turned that nation from being the wealthiest in South America into a state of abject poverty and despair.
Just like this one.
Here in the United States, we are alarmed by the new calls to adopt socialism in our country. America was founded on liberty and independence and not government coercion, domination, and control. We are born free and we will stay free.
That's what I like to hear, brother. Born free, we gonna stay free. He giving up his new name. It's called the Sweetness.
Tonight, we renew our resolve that America will never be a socialist country.
Oh yeah.
One of the most complex set of challenges we face and have for many years is in the Middle East.
Pull the papers out.
Our approach is based on principle, realism, not discredited theories that have failed for decades to yield progress. For this reason, my administration recognized the true capital of Israel and proudly opened the American embassy in Jerusalem.
Yes, we killed, but we also made.
Our brave troops have now been fighting in the Middle East for almost 19 years. In Afghanistan and Iraq,
Aye, Chihuahua.
nearly 7,000 American heroes
Hold me up.
have given their lives. More than 52,000 Americans have been badly wounded. We have spent more than $7 trillion in fighting wars in the Middle
Look at
East.
that joint. It's much nicer than
As
the
a
pack we just
candidate
had
for
on.
president, I loudly pledged
It's like copper
a
or
new
something.
approach.
Right, I told you you would have put his good patch
Great
on.
nations do not fight endless wars. When I took office, ISIS controlled more than 20,000 square miles
Great,
in Iraq
great nations do not fight
and
endless wars.
Syria
That's a mean
just
joke.
2 years ago.
Wish he'd wrote.
Today we have liberated virtually all of the territory
Yeah, the intern that came
From
up
the
with
grip
that will never get credit.
of these bloodthirsty
The
monsters.
pizza man came up with that. I
Now,
ordered Domino's.
as we work
Where's
with
my
our
Domino's?
I thought
to
this was a
destroy
great
the
nation.
remnants of
Right.
ISIS.
You know what I mean?
It is time to give
You
our
can't fight
brave
the pizza
warriors
man,
in
right?
A
Syria
great nation
Pizza
doesn't
wars.
fight wars.
a warm welcome home. I have also accelerated our negotiations to reach, if possible, a political settlement in Afghanistan.
No.
The opposing side is also very happy to be negotiating. Our troops have fought with unmatched valor, and thanks to their bravery, we are now able to pursue a possible political solution to this long and bloody conflict. In Afghanistan, my administration is holding constructive talks with a number of Afghan groups, including the Taliban. As we make progress in these negotiations, we will be able to reduce our troops' presence and focus on counter-terrorism,
Right before
and we
9/11,
will
they came here
indeed
talking about
focus
putting
on
pipeline through their land, so you know
counter-terrorism.
what I
It
mean?
happens with all of
We
them.
do not
All
know
of them.
They came right here, right down around the corner.
We'll
It's
achieve an agreement.
Every organization.
But we do know that
they
after
call
2
a terrorist
decades of war,
organization eventually
the
becomes
hour
a
has
government
come
organization, whether they
to
want
at
it to or
least
not. Happened
try
with the
for
PLO,
peace, and the other
happened
side
with,
would like to do the same
Hamas,
thing. It's time.
happening now with Al Qaeda, and then will eventually again happen with ISIS. They will get their Islamic State. They will be recognized.
Above all, friend and
All
foe
they have to do is
alike
keep
must
this
never
up for
doubt
12 more years.
this nation's power and will to defend our people. 18 years ago, violent terrorists attacked the USS Cole, and last month, American forces killed one of the leaders of that attack.
Woo! America! Fuck yeah!
We are honored to be joined tonight by Tom Wibberley, whose son, Navy seaman Craig Wibberley, was one of the 17 sailors we tragically lost. Tom, we vow to always remember the heroes of the USS Cole. Thank you, Tom. My administration has acted decisively to confront the world's leading state sponsor of terror, the radical regime in Iran. It is a radical regime. They do bad things. To ensure this corrupt dictatorship never acquires nuclear weapons, I withdrew the United States from the disastrous Iran nuclear deal. And last fall, we put in place the toughest sanctions ever imposed by us on a country. We will not avert our eyes from a regime that chants death to America and threatens genocide against the Jewish people.
There's a lot of regimes that do that. Almost every regime has standing in names.
We must never ignore the vile poison of anti-Semitism or those who spread its venomous creed.
Oh, don't spread the creed.
With one voice, we must confront this hatred anywhere and everywhere it occurs. Just months ago, 11 Jewish Americans were viciously murdered in an anti-Semitic attack on the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. SWAT officer Timothy Matson raced into the gunfire and was shot 7 times chasing down the killer, and he was very successful. Timothy has just had his 12th surgery, and he's going in for many more. But he made the trip to be here with us tonight. Officer Matson, please.
Your boy Bitch Kavanaugh standing up all tall like he runs the place, like he's cocking a wall. He's cocking nothing. He's certainly an agent. He looks just
Thank you. We are forever grateful. Thank you very
He
much.
looks just like the acting AG.
Tonight, we are also joined by Pittsburgh survivor, Judah Samet. He arrived at the synagogue as the massacre began. But not only did Judah narrowly escape death last fall, more than 7 decades ago, he narrowly survived the Nazi concentration camps. Today is Judah's 81st birthday.
You need to write a book or a movie or something.
Do what? Spread what narrative?
Spread a narrative to make some fucking money, to make some fun before you die. What narrative? Just write a book about your life. You're talking about that has to be interesting. Just those 2 things alone, nigga. If you did that shit in one lifetime, nigga, shit. Write a book. Oh, God. See, that's why Democrats fucking suck. This is whack.
They play it right into his hands. You didn't know how much that right there cost?
Right. He's wasted millions and trillions of dollars.
Having to pay royalties to the happy birthday man.
Right.
And his family.
They wouldn't do that for me, Judah. Judah says he can still remember the exact moment nearly 75 years ago, after 10 months in a concentration camp, when he and his family were put on a train
He got a little heat
and
tonight.
told they were going to another camp. Suddenly, the train screeched to a very strong halt. A soldier appeared. Judah's family braced for the absolute worst. Then his father cried out with joy, "It's the Americans! It's the Americans!"
This Euro Russian has to stop. God damn. And how many times are you gonna ask this nigga to stand up and sit back down? You see, you gotta walk him. God. He survived the Holocaust and his synagogue getting shot up, and y'all gonna give him a heart attack
second
standing up and
Holocaust
sitting down
survivor
tonight in the State of the Union.
who is here tonight, Joshua Kaufman, was a prisoner at Dachau. He remembers watching through a hole in the wall
God damn, this nigga is seriously
of a cattle car as American
Jewish.
soldiers rolled in with tanks.
like, I haven't seen a
To
more
me,
Jewish
Joshua
looking
recalls
person
the
in my life.
American soldiers were proof that God exists, and they came down from the sky. They came down from heaven I began this
I don't know
evening
if these are the same thing.
by honoring
I
three
don't know if you
soldiers
make that statement.
who fought on D-Day
With him?
in the Second World
All
War.
of these people from the synagogue?
One of them
Yeah, I
was
think so.
Herman Zaitchik. But there is more to Herman's story. A year after he stormed the beaches
Yeah, I
of
think all these people
Normandy,
might be in the synagogue.
Herman was one of the American soldiers who helped liberate Dachau.
Hello?
He was one of the Americans who helped rescue Joshua from that hell on earth. Almost 75 years later, Herman and Joshua are both together in the gallery tonight, seated side by side, here in the home of American freedom. Herman and Joshua, your presence this evening is very much appreciated. Thank you very much.
You made that poor man stand up again.
Thank you. When American soldiers set out beneath the dark skies over the English Channel in the early hours of D-Day 1944, they were just young men of 18 and 19 hurtling on fragile
18.
landing
Having
craft
them niggas like 13.
toward the most momentous battle in the history of war.
I don't think that's the
They
most
did not know if they would survive the hour. They did not know if they would grow old. But they knew that America had to prevail. Their cause was this nation and generations yet unborn. Why did they do it? They did it for America. They did it for us. Everything that has come since our triumph over communism, our giant leaps of science and discovery, our unrivaled progress towards equality and justice, all of it is possible thanks to the blood and tears and courage and vision of the Americans who came before. Think of this Capitol. Think of this very chamber where lawmakers before you voted to end slavery, to build the railroads and the highways and defeat fascism, to secure civil rights, and to face down evil empires. Here tonight, we have legislators from across this magnificent republic. You have come from the rocky shores of Maine and the volcanic peaks of Hawaii, from the snowy woods of Wisconsin and the red deserts of Arizona, from the green farms of Kentucky and the golden beaches of California. Together we represent the most extraordinary nation in all of history. What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? I ask the men and women of this Congress, look at the opportunities before us. Our most thrilling achievements are still ahead. Our most exciting journeys still await. Our biggest victories are still to come. We have not yet begun to dream. We must choose whether we are defined by our differences or whether we dare to transcend them. We must choose whether we squander our great inheritance or whether we proudly declare that we are Americans. We do the incredible. We defy the impossible. We conquer the unknown. This is the time to reignite the American imagination. This is the time to search for the tallest summit and set our sights on the brightest star. This is the time to rekindle the bonds of love and loyalty and memory that link us together as citizens, as neighbors, as patriots. This is our future, our fate, and our choice to make. I am asking you to choose greatness. No matter the trials we face, no matter the challenges to come, we must go forward together. We must keep America first in our hearts. We must keep freedom alive in our souls. And we must always keep faith in America's destiny. That one nation, under God, must be the hope and the promise and the light and the glory among all the nations of the world. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
Yeah! Woo! Yeah! Woo! 4 more years! That was a great State of the Union. It was riveting. It deserves Oscar, Tony, Emmy,
We didn't show up.
a Grammy, and a happy birthday. We didn't show up. Lots of people didn't show up.
truth as we looked at members of Congress.
So Dick Gregory, so happy.
President Trump wrapping up his State of the Union address tonight came in at just over 5,100 words. Last year's State of the Union address was about an hour and 20 minutes long, which is the longest one since Bill Clinton in 2000. This one came in just slightly longer than that. This was a State of the Union address that was not atypical. Not some things that I mean that in sort of a technical Trumpian sense. Some of the ways that the president has handled the trappings of the presidency are quite different from every single one of his predecessors. This was a State of the Union address that was not a radical departure from the kind of State of the Union you might have expected from other presidents, with one exception. There was one strange moment in the address early on that did not connect to other portions of the speech. It was received oddly in the room. Nobody was quite sure what to do with it. It was a moment in which Nancy Pelosi seemed to subtly, physically signal to her side of the room that they should not respond. The president, again, towards the beginning of his speech, saying an economic miracle is taking place in the United States, and the only thing that can stop it are foolish wars, politics, or ridiculous partisan investigations. He continued, if there's going to be peace and legislation, there cannot be war and investigation. It just doesn't work that way. We must be united at home to defeat our adversaries abroad. The camera at that moment in the hall caught Congressman Adam Schiff, the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, appearing to laugh a little bit, not like sort of laughing to taunt the president, but seeming to not be able to stifle a giggle. And again, Nancy Pelosi did seem to signal to her side of the room at that point that they should not respond. It was a weird moment. It was a fairly normal State of the Union address with one very strange moment, perhaps the strangest moment I've ever seen in any State of the Union.
I'm back with the assistance of a microphone.
Yes, it was so odd. I couldn't hear you, but your microphone was nowhere to be found.
It's on me. This is so interesting. As he walks out, just take a half second here because we are awfully close to him and can overhear these conversations.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
Great speech. Great speech.
That was America.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Great job.
Great speech. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you for staying there.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, good. Great job. Thank you. You too. Nice to see you.
Mr. President, great job. Great job. With you, sir.
Got the kids here.
Great job. Everything good?
More than one person told him he knocked it out of the park. Need we point out the obvious? Those were Republicans lining both sides of the aisle on his way out.
MSNBC.
Michelle Bachmann by the door.
Yep, so
How did that happen?
Stacey Abrams.
Vince,
So you can always be on the floor if you're a former member. Oh, really? Yes. Your privileges never go away? Your privileges never...
That's how you gonna refer to her as the loser from...
That's what she is. You know what I mean? She's not the winner.
Hey, wow.
She's the loser. You
I
know what I
get
mean?
what you said. Would you just like Stacy Abrams, the loser?
But what I'm saying, she's the person that lost. That's not currently holds any political.
Oh, what's going on?
position.
Something's going on. Something's going on. Somebody's saying something.
keeping with her function as Speaker of the
It was
House
awkward,
here,
though. Probably funny.
Of the two houses
gaveling
now
this session to an end. We should point out, if the speech started abruptly, especially to fans of history watching at home, she was supposed to introduce the president, the language we've become used to, the distinct pleasure and the high honor, followed by another volley of fairly cursory applause. But the president jumped in before the speaker could introduce the president. Now, Steny Hoyer speaking from the floor, this is all House business. To Rachel's point earlier, the soaring language for us reading along the last 2 pages of this speech.
What do you think about Stacy Abrams, huh?
Stacy Abrams.
Since you joshed on her being a winner.
I didn't josh on her being. You were the one that just said straight up, you called her a loser.
Yes, but that's what she lost.
She's not a loser in life.
Well, I say she's not a loser. She's a loser of the election.
You didn't say that. You just said Stacy Abrams, the loser from Georgia.
Oh, I said that? Oh, pardon me. I didn't mean to phrase it like that. I apologize.
But, I mean, I'm not a Stacy Abrams friend. I don't care. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what to do. Stacy Abrams, why is she delivering the rebuttal? Stacey Abrams came out of nowhere. She came on the scene like real soon after the after those midterm elections in late last year. And I never really heard too much about Stacey Abrams or her policy. She wasn't getting too much notoriety before that. And now all of a sudden, Stacey Abrams is giving a rebuttal to the State of the Union. This is a social media politics democracy that we're living in right now. And it's cookie cutter. It's toast. You know what I'm saying? It's a bunch of fluff and candy. You put people out here who have no experience, people don't know what they're talking about. What type of response is Stacey Abrams really going to get? You know what I mean? What is she really going to do? Is she going to give the hard-hitting response of a Maxine Waters or the light-hearted millennial point of view of Ocasio-Cortez or...
Ocasio-Cortez, who is that?
I don't know. I'm saying everybody's name wrong. The point I'm trying to say is she going to do those things? I don't think so. What I think she's going to do is come on there and try to be wholesome. I don't want wholesome. I'm sorry. This is why.
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for solutions. I'm looking for stuff that works. You don't gotta be wholesome. I'm not wholesome. I don't need my politicians to be wholesome. I don't go to church. And I'm tired of people putting church in my face. I don't go to church.
Before this came on, we saw Donna Brazile talking about she's the daughter of a pastor.
I don't care.
That she was going to take us to church.
Well, I'm not going.
People expected.
I'm not following Donna Brazile nowhere. Okay, nowhere, because I don't want to hear about church. I'm tired of hearing about church. I'm tired of hearing about Catholicism. I'm definitely tired of all these black people shoving church down my nostrils and esophagus like some sort of a 7-Eleven Slurpee on the hottest day of the year. I'm tired of it. I can't take it anymore. Church needs to go. The next time somebody tries to mention church to make me vote a certain way, I'm going to kick them right in a holy shit. I don't have time for this. It's awful what's going on. Several times a year, people come up to me and ask me, have I been saved?
What?
And then I say, no, I don't believe in that. And then they ask me who I'm voting for. After they ask me, have I been saved? Now, are you Mormons or are you Republicans? Which ones are you talking to me about? Because either one I'm rejecting. Sad.
What you think, right? Here she is.
Yet even when they came...
Well, here's Stacey Abrams' Democratic response.
Good evening, my fellow Americans, and happy Lunar New Year. I'm Stacy Abrams, and I'm honored to join the conversation about the state of our union.
Inclusion, baby.
Growing up, my family went back and forth between lower middle class and working class. Yet even when they came home weary and bone-tired, my parents found a way to show us all who we could be. My librarian mother taught us to love learning. My father, a shipyard worker, put in overtime and extra shifts, and they made sure we volunteered to help others. Later, they both became United Methodist ministers, an expression of the faith that guides us. These were our family values: faith, service, education, and responsibility. Now, we only had one car, so sometimes my dad had to hitchhike and walk long stretches during the 30-mile trip home from the shipyards. One rainy night, my mom got worried. We piled in the car and went out looking for him, and we eventually found my dad making his way along the road, soaked and shivering in his shirt sleeves. When he got in the car, my mom asked if he'd left his coat at work. He explained that he'd given it to a homeless man he'd met on the highway. When we asked why he'd given away his only jacket, my dad turned to us and said, "I knew when I left that man he'd still be alone, but I could give him my coat because I knew you were coming for me." Our power and strength as Americans lives in our hard work and our belief in more. My family understood firsthand that while success is not guaranteed,
Is this a Democratic response, or is this her coming out party? I assume that this was her coming out party, as you can see on
when times are tough,
SaturnNews.com.
we can persevere because our friends and neighbors will come for us. Our first responders will come for us. It is this mantra, this uncommon grace of community, that has driven me to become an attorney, a small business owner, a writer, and most recently, the Democratic nominee for governor of Georgia. My reason for running was simple. I love our country and its promise of opportunity for all. And I stand here tonight because I hold fast to my father's credo. Together, we are coming for America, for a better America.
Why is she the one?
Just a few weeks ago, I joined volunteers to distribute meals to furloughed federal workers. They waited in line for a box of food and a sliver of hope since they hadn't received paychecks in weeks. Making livelihoods of our federal workers a pawn for political games is a disgrace. The shutdown was a stunt, engineered by the President of the United States.
I think she's actually superimposed. I don't think she's there.
And abandon not just our people,
look at the light that's coming around the side of her. Is the light coming from above her or behind her?
For 7 years, I led the Democratic Party in the Georgia House of Representatives. I didn't always agree with the Republican speaker or governor, but I understood that our constituents didn't care about our political parties. They cared about their lives. So when we had to negotiate criminal justice reform or transportation or foster care improvements, the leaders of our state didn't shut down. We came together and we kept our word. It should be no different in our nation's capital. We may come from different sides of the political aisle, but our joint commitment to the ideals of this nation cannot be negotiable. Our most urgent work is to realize Americans' dreams of today and tomorrow, to carve a path to independence and prosperity that can last a lifetime. Children deserve an excellent education from cradle to career. We owe them safe schools and the highest standards, regardless of zip code. Yet this White House responds timidly, while first graders practice active shooter drills, and the price of higher education grows ever steeper. From now on, our leaders must be willing to tackle gun safety measures and face the crippling effects of educational loans, to support educators and invest what is necessary to unleash the power of America's greatest minds. In Georgia and around the country, people are striving for a middle class where a salary truly equals economic security. But instead, families' hopes are being crushed by Republican leadership that ignores real life or just doesn't understand it. Under the current administration, far too many hard-working Americans are falling behind, living paycheck to paycheck, most without labor unions to protect them from even worse harm. The Republican tax bill rigged the system against working people. Rather than bringing back jobs, plants are closing, layoffs are looming, and wages struggle to keep pace with the actual cost of living. We owe more to the millions of everyday folks who keep our economy running, like truck drivers forced to buy their own rigs, farmers caught in a trade war, small business owners in search of capital, and domestic workers serving wage protection. Women and men who could thrive if only they had the support and freedom to do so. We know bipartisanship could craft a 21st century immigration plan, but this administration chooses to cage children and tear families apart.
Are you talking
Compassionate treatment at the border is not the same as open borders. President Reagan understood this.
President Reagan was a fucking fool.
Americans understand
who drove us to this fucking madness.
Democrats stand
he didn't know what was going on because his ass was asleep all of the time.
And borders.
He didn't know
but we must all embrace
that
from agriculture to healthcare to entrepreneurship. America is made stronger by the presence of immigrants, not laws.
Shipping and trucking is
and rather than suing to dismantle the Affordable Care Act, as Republican attorneys general have, our leaders must protect the progress we've made and commit to expanding healthcare and lowering costs for everyone. My father has battled prostate cancer for years. To help cover the cost, I found myself sinking deeper into debt. Because while you can defer some payments, you can't defer cancer treatment. In this great nation, Americans are skipping blood pressure pills, forced to choose between buying medicine or paying rent.
Just shooting her from the bottom.
Maternal mortality rates show that mothers, especially black mothers, risk death to give birth. And in 14 states, including my home state, where a majority want it, our leaders refuse to expand Medicaid, which could save rural hospitals, save economies, and save lives. We can do so much more. Take action on climate change. Defend individual liberties with fair-minded judges. But none of these ambitions are possible without the bedrock guarantee of our right to vote. Let's be clear. Voter suppression is real. From making it harder to register and stay on the rolls, to moving and closing polling places, to rejecting lawful ballots, we can no longer ignore these threats to democracy. While I acknowledge the results of the 2018 election here in Georgia, I did not, and we cannot, accept efforts to undermine our right to vote. That's why I started a nonpartisan organization called Fair Fight to advocate for voting rights. This is the next battle for our democracy, one where all eligible citizens can have their say about the vision we want for our country. We must reject the cynicism that says allowing every eligible vote to be cast and counted is a power grab.
Time to return back to where we are.
Americans understand that these are the values our brave men and women in uniform and our veterans risk their lives to defend. The foundation of our moral leadership around the globe is free and fair elections, where voters pick their leaders, not where politicians pick their voters.
Just giving everybody.
In this time of division and crisis, we must come together and stand for and with one another. America has stumbled time and again on its quest towards justice and equality. But with each generation, we have revisited our fundamental truths, and where we falter, we make amends. We fought Jim Crow with the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. Yet we continue to confront racism from our past and in our present, which is why we must hold everyone from the highest offices to our own families accountable for racist words and deeds, and call racism what it is: wrong. America achieved a measure of reproductive justice in Roe v. Wade, but we must never forget it is immoral to allow politicians to harm women and families to advance a political agenda. We affirmed marriage equality, and yet the LGBTQ community remains under attack. So, even as I am very disappointed by the president's approach to our problems, I still don't want him to fail. But we need him to tell the truth and to respect his duties and respect the extraordinary diversity that defines America. Our progress has always been found in the refuge, in the basic instinct of the American experiment, to do right by our people. And with a renewed commitment to social and economic justice, we will create a stronger America together. Because America wins by fighting for our shared values against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That is who we are. And when we do so, never wavering, the state of our union will always be strong. Thank you, and may God bless the United States of America.
So much more.
Democratic response before a small but enthusiastic crowd. Stacy Abrams of the state of Georgia.
Yeah, please pause this.
What did you think of that? I don't really think that was
I was confused by that. I was really I don't know what to say about that response. I don't know what to say about how she kicked it off by giving us a personal story about her. I don't understand why we have a non-elected official even given the response. She's not even. She doesn't even hold political office in this country. She's not even a. I mean, she's just a voter at this point.
But they say she's the future.
The future of a voter. She's voting for people at this point. You know what I'm saying? She's. You know what I mean? She's not running for anything. She's not. She doesn't hold any office. Why is she delivering a rebuttal to the president's speech?
Well, who do you think you should have doing it? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez?
Hell no. Let's see who could have done it. Let me think. Let me get somebody in here. Somebody who's a nice rebuttalist.
No, we don't answer. Took you a while.
Because I can't. It wouldn't have been her. But as far as strategy, it's hard for me to figure out who I would try to put in that position because it's also a precursor about who's running for president in 2020. So there's a lot of people who would have been good at giving a speech, but the Democratic Party itself doesn't want to put their support behind those people as making it look like we're supporting them as candidates for the 2020 election. So let's say if somebody like Cory Booker would have been selected to deliver this speech, he just threw his hat in the ring to run for president, delivering the speech, delivering the rebuttal for Donald Trump would have made it look like the Democratic Party was behind him, supporting him as his run for president. You see what I'm saying? So
I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
So they couldn't really put somebody out there to take, to put, openly, put their weight behind someone.
Right. So a lot
have to keep the options open.
Right. So a lot of people that would have been, right for delivering a speech are also people that are throwing their head into the ring for the 2020 election. So, the Democrats.
You got somebody that says Coon Miller Harris is too scared to speak. I think that's kind of inappropriate.
Right.
We love to have your comment. But let's keep it PG.
Well, Kamala Harris, not Kamala.
The Sanskrit.
So is it like Pamela but with a K? So it's Kamala.
Kamala.
Okay, Kamala. I don't think she's. I don't think they're gonna put her in there right now either.
No, not really good candidate.
Because first of all, she does have an awful track record when it comes to her prosecution of illegals, or prosecution of young blacks, prosecution of drug offenders, prosecution of non-violent offenders. A lot of stuff was going on in the 90s with people. But a lot of other things, like I don't fault people for what they were doing in the 90s, especially because of the hypocrisy of some black people. because in the 90s, I can remember how black people felt about each other. And they were trying to throw all the little boys in jail, just like the white people. So all that stuff Hillary Clinton was saying, you could be pretty sure your mother was saying that same shit. Throw those little boys in jail, just like Hillary Clinton, because my parents were saying that same shit. Put the little boys in jail and all that wild stuff. So you can't blame her for, or Joe Biden or something for trying to get black people's votes when that's the response that black people acted like they wanted at the time. So, you know what I mean? That to me is completely out the window. Now all of a sudden you want people to take it easy on your son and take it easy on your daughter, but you didn't want that in the 90s because it happened to too many people. You thought it would be a deterrent, but it wasn't a deterrent. It just ended up putting a whole generation of people in jail. You see what I'm saying? That's a different story.
Do you think the president can gain some votes coming up in the 2020 election if he pushes an agenda that his agenda has been pro-black? Do you think he could take away some of the black votes from the Democrats?
I don't think he'll be able to articulate that because he doesn't understand that perspective.
You don't think he can hire a consulting firm to push out that message?
No, I do not.
Why?
Because there's a lot of nuance to that. There's a lot.
That the Republican Party has just not been hip to it in the past. Or
yeah, you would have.
Can it ever do that? Can it
No.
ever
I'm
move
not
into that direction?
I'm not gonna give you a never. I'm not gonna give you a never.
We see a strong conservative movement.
No, I'm not gonna give you a never because it's
budding out of certain demographics.
I'm not gonna say never because there's always a possibility that you could find some sort of a consultant firm or a political marketing strategist that could figure that out. So there's always one person that can give you that. But I think that personally, you know, the issue of what people did and did not do as far as crime reform and as far as deterring people from committing crime in the 90s and in the early 2000s, that was not all the fault of politicians. That was a lot of the fault of the constituents because they wanted tougher stance on crime. It wasn't just like politicians came out of nowhere with these outrageous laws. The people were demanding, we want justice, we want tougher laws, we want this, we want that. So they gave the people what they wanted, and now they thought that would say, okay, this is going to stop crime. But it didn't stop crime because there is no deterrent for crime. Crime can't be deterred. Crime is either cultivated by culture or necessity. Unless those two things go away, then I mean you're not gonna get crime to go away.
So basically, what you're just saying is decrease the poverty and the income inequality, and crime should go away.
No, also it has to be a cultural thing too. That's one factor, but it also has to be. There has to be something else more fun around than committing crimes.
Yeah, some cultures are more conducive to committing crimes, or more prevalent to committing crimes than others.
Yeah, cultures. Yes, not races, not genetics, but cultures. Yes, because there's lots of subcultures that exist, thrive just in crime. You know what I mean? But I really think that when it comes to, you know, a lot of the laws that were on the books, people wanted those laws. Just like a lot of mistakes were made. A lot of mistakes were made, and people didn't realize the mistakes that were being made because all they understand in this country, for real, is punishment. A lot of people in this country don't understand anything different besides punishment. They understand.
There's no
such thing as reform.
Reform?
There is no such thing as reform.
Right.
They just feel like
change.
No, they just feel like the only
no such thing as change.
No, there isn't such thing as change. You could punish somebody until they change. That's it. That's the only way people felt like it worked. And the thing about it is, if the rest of the issues don't disappear, then the punishment will never be a deterrent. You know, if the other issues that drive you to a life of crime don't disappear, then you still want to do the same thing. You know what I mean? You're going to weigh your options. You're going to say, okay, do I want to spend life in jail, or do I want to live among rats and roaches? You get what I'm saying? That's the same type of. I think that's the same type of options that people weigh when they decide whether they want to sneak into this country or not. Some of them. You know what I mean? Some of them are sneaking into this country for selfish reasons, but some people, I wager, are gathering like, you know, do I want to live down here in Juarez, Mexico, duck bullets, get chased around by the cartel, or do I want to just try to sneak over the border and deal with ICE? which one of those is the least lethal lifestyle? You know what I mean? Which one of those puts me in the least amount of jeopardy? And I think that's, you know, when you start feeding fear down people's throats and they start making rash decisions and they want whatever they feel like puts them in the least amount of jeopardy right now. They want that.
It's sad, man. That's a sad state of affairs we live in.
Well, that's human nature. I think humans are easily scared. I really think that. I think humans are easily scared. I think the fight or flight reflex is mostly flight in most humans. And the ones that do have the fight reflex are revered by everybody else as heroes. But I digress. And, we got 2 viewers. So I gotta get up out of here. It's getting pretty late.
Hey, brother, I'll see you on
Thursday.
On Thursday. We'll talk this out further.
All right,
and,
cheers.
You check us out too. All right. Peace.